Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. In our Indian traditions, we have spiritual sadhanas. There are 9 sadhanas. In each and every sadhana, we can attain the presence of God. We can get the blessings of God to lead our life in a blissful way. These sadhanas are like steps to climb the staircase upstairs. If you want to go to upstairs, you have to climb by step. At last you will reach. Like this called Navavida Bhakti. 9 types of devotional steps, sadhanas. If you want to accomplish your ambition, goals, these are the steps prescribed by Bhakti Sutra in Bhakti Sutras. Bhakti Sutras showed us the right path, how to see God, how to get the blessings of Lord. What are the ways, how it gives us a self-satisfaction to watch our life in a pious way. Therefore, we have to know the 9 steps of bhakti. Among these 9 steps, we can select any one of it. For each and every step, there are so many devotees who succeeded. For example, if you take Prahalada with deep devotion on Lord Sriman Narayana, attained an exalted place. Even Sudama, like a friend, it is a kind of Sakya Bhakti, approached Krishna and worshipped by Lord Krishna himself to Kuchela, Sudama. If you go, another devotee, Surdas, who is blind, but got the blessings of Lord Krishna. Like this, if you go on telling so many devotees like Dhruva, who got the blessings of Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, and attained an exalted place like Dhruva star on the sky. For this we need selflessness. Selflessness is one of the steps to see the God. Bliss, selfless love is a source for getting real bliss. If we want to get real bliss, we have to make these sadhanas. Selflessness gives us the way to reach God so easily. In this way, we should not seek our publicity. So if you see some temples, they used to donate a bit but make publicity a lot. This is not to be done. This is not called devotion. We should change our attitude while doing our service. We should not feel. We should feel we are doing service to Lord Krishna. We are nothing. We are nothing before Him. Such a mentality should be developed while doing service to God. We should feel it is an opportunity that God has given to us. That should be broadened in the heart to get the benefits from the devotion. Even we should possess detachment for worldly pleasures, which will obstruct our devotion towards God. Our ritual rites will be obstructed if we are attached to worldly pleasures. In this regard, we have to maintain the detachment from worldly pleasures and attachment towards godliness, God's service. This is only the root cause for attaining salvation. Unless we know this, we cannot go through further step. Therefore, we have to understand the spirituality. So, basing on these things, today I took the topic of spiritual sadhana. Prayer. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Namavaranane. Of the 9 steps in spiritual sadhana as laid down in the Bhakti Sutras, leading to the realization of the self, dasyam, or the attitude of servant to do seva, is quite near the final goal. It is 8th step in the 9th one. The study of text, renouncing of wealth in charity, the repetition of the name or the chanting of nama and hymns may be good exercise to sanctify the mind and to avoid falling into evil ways and ruinous pastimes. But they seldom purify the consciousness of man. Instead, they serve mostly to bloat the ego and instill pride and promote a competitive craving for superiority. You may be sitting in the bhajan hall and loudly singing in chorus, but your mind may get involved in anxiety about the pair of sandals you left outside the hall. Always at the back of the mind there is a fear of loss of the sandals, chappals. This vitiates the bhajan and makes it barren show, without any dedicated service. The sadhana of seva is quite distinct. In seva, you devote all your energy and attention to the task at hand, for it is a dedicated task. You forget the body and ignore its demands. You set aside your individuality and its prestige and perquisites. You pluck your ego, its roots, and cast it away. You give up your status, conceit, your name, and formal, and keep all chitta, thought pure, mind pure. Whatever the task you are performing, renounce your personal individuality and share its travails and troubles, its fruits and benefits with God. You need not bring in God from somewhere outside you. He is in you, Lord is in you, all the while, every time. This truth must be your own discovery, your own strength. This is the grand purpose of Seva Dalam. That is the reason why the Seva Dal is assigned a high place in the Satya Sai organization. Bliss, selfless love is a source of real bliss. There is no greater quality in man than selfless love, which expresses itself in service to others. Such a love can be the source of real bliss. The relationship between karma and karma yoga should be properly understood. Ordinary karma action done with attachment or desires causes bondage. But desireless, selfless action becomes karma yoga. Our life should become a yoga, divine communion, rather than a roga, disease. Today, most of our actions result in roga because they are related to sensuous path. The spiritual path does not consist merely in singing bhajans, devotional songs, or reciting poems or hymns. These are good deeds. Only actions performed as a complete offering, sharanagati, to the divine can be regarded as spiritual. The man who is in a state of ignorance about the self is like the bud of a flower that has not yet blossomed. When the flower blossoms, it sheds its fragrance all around. Likewise, the man who has realized the divinity within him becomes a source of light and strength. Selflessness. The fulfillment of human life consists in the service that man renders without any thought of return, in an attitude of selflessness. Service rendered in the spirit sheds light in the dark interior of man. It widens the heart, it purifies the impulses, and confers lasting ananda. True seva is a service rendered to one's fellow men with kindness and selflessness. The right royal path to the home of peace is to perform seva with a sense of affection and friendliness. If we have filled ourselves with selfishness, jealousy, and such ill feelings, we will not be able to do any good service. If there is nothing in a vessel, it is possible to fill it with some good things. Thereafter, in the very first instance, empty yourselves to all bad feelings and ill your hearts with love and selflessness. A heart soaked in love alone is a sacred heart. Whatever the service we remember or render should be done with a sense of selflessness, means swartha rahityamu. And then we may reach the highest stage in our life. The service done may be a small one, but when it is done with a large heart, it can yield great results. So, do not seek publicity. Do not think of the fame or praise you win. Think of the good that people derive. Do not crave for publicity. Crave for the joy that shines in the faces of the people whom you help. Sheva means selfless service brings you nearer to me. The flower that is your heart gets a fragrance by means of the seva you do, and so it becomes more acceptable to me. Love is the essence of that fragrance. While rendering service, there should not be any pomposity. Develop a brand heart or a broad mind, broad heart, and foster love in it. Do not serve for the sake of reward, attracting attention, or carrying gratitude, or from a sense of pride at your own superiority in skill, wealth, status, or authority. Serve because you are urged by love. When you succeeded, ascribe the success to the grace of God who urged you on as alone within you. When you fail, ascribe the failure to your own inadequacy, insincerity, or ignorance. Examine the springs of action, disinfect them from all trace of ego. Do not throw the blame on the recipients at the seva or on your own collaborators and co-workers or on God. Do not publish these acts of sympathy. Do them spontaneously without fanfare. That is more precious than demonstrating your service with the help of headlines and photographs. These reduce the worth of deeds of compassion. Attitude while doing service. Your seva will be judged with reference to the mental attitude accompanying it. So, whatever work is allotted, do it with fervor, understanding, and reverence. In Seva, there can be no high or low, for God is in all. God receives your Seva to whomsoever you may defer it. Do not be sad that you have been posted on some duty that keeps you far from me. Know that I am nearest to him who calls on me and sees me in all beings. It is the attitude that is essential. The particular into the item of service might be small. You may not get a chance to partake in some gigantic scheme of service through which will millions of people may be benefited. You can lift a land lamp over a settle or still, or lead a blind child across a busy road. That too is an act of worship. A sevak must be the neta, elated nor dejected. We must adhere to the middle path. When Rama asked Hanuman to proceed towards the southern region and described that the dangers of the route, he was not dejected. When he gave him the ring to be handed over to Sita, he was not elated to that you grow, being chosen for the supreme task and given the glorious chance. He just obeyed. Sufficient unto him was the order of his master. Go. Hanuman is an ideal volunteer, efficient, humble, silent, serviceable, intelligent, eager, and devoted. Let us broaden the heart. Seva brings out all that is great in man. It broadens the heart and widens one's vision. It fills one with joy. It prompts unity. It proclaims the truth of the Spirit. It drives out all the evil qualities in a man. It must be regarded as a great spiritual discipline. You are born to serve, not to dominate. Everyone in the world is a servant and not a master. All relationships, husband and wife, mother and child, employer and employee, are based on mutual services. When there is understanding and harmony in the family, peace will spread to the community and from there to the nation and the world. Hence, unity is the primary need today. Unity confers joy and peace. Transformation must begin with the individual. When the individual changes, the world will change. This transformation has to take place in the minds of men. Right thoughts will lead to right actions. That is why the scriptures have declared that the mind and body should be perfectly. Detachment, how? Secure divine love through detachment. Detachment, a kind of aversion. Virakti, no? Dedicate everyone action to divine in spirit of detachment. Divine love can be secured only by dedicated service to the divine God, responds spontaneously. So, what you offer? Kuchela got in general for a handful of parched rice, atukulu, given to Lord Krishna. Limitless prosperity. Draupadi was rewarded likewise. How can you expect God to love Himself if you do not love God? God's grace is like a bank. You can draw money from that bank only to the extent to which you have built up deposits through Tyaga means sacrifice. And God's grace through love and sacrifice. If the name of Lord Krishna is glorified all over the world today, it is because of his boundless love. He served the lowly and the last, and in the end offered his life itself as a sacrifice. How many of those who call themselves devotees of Krishna are following his teachings of Bhagavad Gita? Those who claim to worship Rama, how far are they following his example? How many professed devotees of Saibala are living up to his teachings? There are many who claim to be Sai devotees. Human of men are following the message of it, message of Sai. If everyone seeks the answer within himself, he will see that it is a zero. Anyone who claims to be a Sai devotee should dedicate his life to Sai ideals. That is true devotion and real penance. That is the hallmark of humanness. It will be reflected in love, which will food expression in compassion that generates real ananda, bliss. The greatest quality in every man is love. When love is absent, evil qualities like hatred and jealousy near their heads. Make love the breath of your one. Not selfishness, rather selfishness. A life without love is meaningless. The more you love, the more it grows. True love should be distinguished from attachment either to persons or things. Attachment is based on selfishness. Love is based on selflessness. These two are different. Love is a fruit that is born from the flower of your good deeds. Only when we engage ourselves in selfless service can we experience the essence of these pure hands that serve are greater than the lips that pray. Embodiment of love. Remember that the hands that serve are greater than the lips that pray. Dedicate yourselves to service to all. Real humanness consists in the spirit of service. Quantity does not matter. It is the quality of service that counts. Let us find out the humility, Vinayam. When work is sublimated into worship, defeat and disappointment will not dishearten. Success will not promote pride. It will lead to humility and gratitude for grace. Work performed as duty, as due from us to society brings the reward of joy, for we have utilized the knowledge and skill endowed by God through society for serving society itself. Let us get ingratitude is a terrible sin. How? If you desire a safe and peaceful future, you have to mold your actions properly in the present. In this service has a great role, whether you perform any kind of worship or not. When you render selfless service, you will be able to experience the bliss of divine love. Service demonstrates the unity that underlies the apparent diversity. To realize your own inherent divinity, service to the people is the best kind of sadhana. What is so great about living for one's own sake? Only the man who lives for others can be said to live truly. Man is a creature of society. That's why man is called social animal and owes everything to society. Hence, he should be grateful to it for what all he has received from it. Gratitude is a supreme virtue. Ingratitude is a grievous sin, mean great sin. It will deprive a man of his God given sight. There is no means of atonement for the ungrateful person. If you wish to safeguard your future, you have to be grateful to those who have helped you in your difficulties and needs in the present. Religion develops the human personality. How? Unity, fellow feeling, and devotion are essential for every human being. To promote these sacred qualities in mankind, same great souls sought to establish different religions. Religion is not a restrictive concept. Religion is intended to develop the human personality and indicate the basic guidelines for right living. Religion brings out the humanness in man and enables him to live in harmony with his fellow men. It provides a link between the individuals and divine. It demonstrates a unity that underlines the diversity in the world. Love, sacrifice, service, and righteousness are the four limbs of religion. Religion brings out the divine and sublime feelings in man and makes him serve society. It evokes all that is great, blissful, and good in men and demonstrates the unity of mankind. Now, service is the only path to self realization. How? Man justifies himself and proves his claim to be a worthy individual only through seva, undertaken sincerely, selflessly, and with no thought of worldly reward. Seva is the only path to self realization. It is the highest expression of love and of the sacrifice love involves. You have to expend yourself in seva unto the very last breath. You cannot retire after a certain years of seva or when you reach a certain age. When you have such a Lord and Master, there should be no dearth of sevaks, means servants. The servants are the glory of the Lord. Service to man is service to God. Manava Seva, Madhava Seva. Use body to perform right actions. The most important thing to be noted today is that the body has been given to man for the performance of right action. Every person has to discharge his duties in life. It is a sin to ignore one's duties. When everyone performs his duties, the nation will prosper. Perform your duties without regard to what others say or do. Engage yourselves in service activity. Consider social service as service to God. To earn the love of God, this is the easiest way. The best way to love God is to love all and serve all. Your entire life will be sanctified thereby. Now, do not exploit the people. When a teacher is teaching his students genuinely and properly, that is service. A businessman need not sweep the streets. If he conduct his business in a moral way, that itself is service. If he does not exploit people for more profits, that is service. When a person has such a selfless feeling, he automatically becomes the servant. One should lead one's life to one's own mental satisfaction. He should contemplate his behavior to determine whether or not it is up to his satisfaction. There is no distinction between acts of service. Let us see in Bhagavad Gita what advises Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita advises that service to the Sangha means society is the highest seva, as well as the most beneficial sadhana. If you cannot run away from this obligation, you have to use the community of men wherein you are born for sublimating your egoism and saving yourself. The Bhagavad Gita has proclaimed the path of disinterested action, the royal road to perfection. Embodiments of the divine Atma. You may not be able to see it, but it is clear before God's eyes because He is a witness for every action, no? So you all fill your lives with seva activities. Shri Kantai Kalyana Nide Nidedram Shri Venkatanivasaaya Srinivasaya Mangalam Mangalasasanapraye Madacharya Purogamaihi Sarvaisha Purvairacharya Satkritaya Stu Mangalam.